So Carolyn's son just crossed the line. I think we're done. I know everybody thought, aha, I told you it wasn't gonna work, but just pay attention. You'll see what happened here. Before I get started too far into this, I want to be clear that we have decided to take Carolyn's son in during his time of need, and that's our business. I haven't mentioned anything about him. You don't know his name. You don't know what he looks like. I just said he was having some issues with his other half, however you want to look at that. I've been divorced more times than I'd like to admit. I regret all of them. We all have these problems. So I don't say how it's anybody's opinion one way or another. So I've told Carolyn that if someone decides they're going to have opinion about how we help Carolyn's son, that'll be the last opinion they'll have on my channel, and I'll just block them. I don't think it's anybody's business. What I want to do is teach everybody how to live off grid, and this was a good opportunity to teach folks how to live off grid, how to hook up a camper to solar panels and a house, run a freezer, have multiple families, and we all try to figure this out together. But it became on, well, this is how you're supposed to raise a young man like that. Well, you don't even know how old he is, so how can you say that? It doesn't make any sense. So as you know, we bought a camper for $1,000. It's not roadworthy at all. I wouldn't put it on the road. There's no lights on it, outside lights. The inverter that changes AC, I guess it's a converter. I said that wrong, it's a converter. It changes AC electricity into DC, uses about 80 watts an hour. So we didn't use that. So what we did was we hooked him up to our modified sine wave inverter. So we have two inverters, one modified sine wave inverter that's hooked up to his camper, and then we have a true sine wave inverter which is hooked up to our house, which runs the electricity. So his electricity is pretty dirty, and you can't really do a lot with dirty electricity. It can burn up motors faster. Running a refrigerator on it, it could burn it up pretty quickly, although we ran a refrigerator on it for like 6 years and it still runs. So I don't know how much it wears it out, but I'm sure it does decrease its life. But as far as running sensitive things, it just can't. Like if you put an alarm clock on a modified sine wave, it wouldn't keep time accurately, and it would lose time pretty quickly. So like the microwave, I tested the microwave the other day, and it didn't occur to me. I ran it for like 10 seconds, and I realized, oh, that wasn't 10 seconds. It was probably more like 8 seconds. So you would have to take all that into consideration when you're running this sensitive equipment. Another thing is, I'm not even sure the microwave would have worked correctly. Maybe it wouldn't have heated up. I mean, 9 seconds, I put a cup of coffee in there. It seemed like it was a little warmer, but I didn't really test it to see it would actually heat anything up. So we would need true sine wave to run equipment like that. But he's been doing pretty good. He got a job. I told you that. He got a job just a few days after he got here. He's been going to work every day, which is great. He's had some medical appointments, different appointments that he's been going to, getting everything straightened up. So he's been getting on the road to getting back on his feet. He's met a few people around here, so he's starting to socialize. He wants to go to the library, so Carolyn even suggested today, let's go to the library, her and him go to the library. That for some reason that didn't happen, but he wants to go to the library. So I think everything's working out. Now, we've tried to get water into his camper, and we just haven't had a lot of time to show him how to do that. It's not very complicated, but when you're trying to pay attention and you don't understand the mechanical things, and there's no criticism when I say this. Somebody's going to criticize, don't, but there's no reason for him to have known how to run a generator. He's not interested in that kind of thing. He was interested in doing whatever he did with his life. So I can't expect him to know how to, rebuild a carburetor or hook up solar panels or understand the difference between AC and DC electric or whatever. There's just no expectation. So this was going to be a process to teach. I know I'm going to get people, well, I got 1,000 watts of solar panels and it's monocrystal cellulars, and they're going to go into all this explanation to show how big of an expert they are. And the only thing you would do if you were to teach Carolyn's son this is confuse the heck out of him. I tried to explain amps times volts equals watts, and they said that didn't make sense, did it? No. So I know that I'm going to have to show him how to do it. How many watts certain appliances are going to take. If he's going to stay here very long, I'm sure he's going to want a refrigerator and air conditioner. We talked about the air conditioner, and the air conditioner is a situation that we're gonna have to overcome. If we don't get that camper moved up, it's gonna get really hot in there. We wanna get it moved up into the shade a little bit. I'm working on that, but the biggest problem is if we move it, that means I gotta unlevel it. We're gonna spend half a day trying to get it up there, and all the while, he can't be in it. So we gotta figure out a time when he's at work and we can just schedule someone to come over here and pull it up. I don't know, somebody said I could probably move it up that hill with my truck. It's 2-wheel drive, I don't know if I can or not. I've thought about it, that when he's at work, I could just drop it down off the blocks, pull it up there, but I just don't know if my truck would do it. It's a 4-cylinder. Probably could, but if it couldn't, and it started to go backwards on me, then we'd be in worse shape than we are right now. And then I would just have to re-level it anyways, just so I could do it again later. So it's just a timing issue, trying to figure all that out. Of course, he's got a lot of appointments he's trying to keep, so we're trying to do all that. The other thing is there's more activities for Carolyn and me to do now. One of the things that we have to work out is the Berkey water filtration system. I'm not too trusting that our well is giving us clean water. I talked about that in the last 2 videos. So if you want to check that out, I'll put an up next box at the end of this video that discussed dirty water and what we do to try to correct it. But the Berkey is my fail-safe. We used the Berkey when we were nomads all over the place. We pulled water out of creeks, and the filters would get dirty pretty quick. They would always filter everything out perfectly, and you had good drinking water. The only time we didn't have good drinking water was we were in Texas one time at this free campsite that had electricity and water. It was city water. It was a city park. As a matter of fact, they had a cross-country meet there one time while we were there. So there was a lot of people there. And the water, it was near a oil drill, one of those pumps, and it just tasted oily. Like there might have been petroleum in it. So I don't know, the filters may not gotten all that crud out. If there was petroleum in it, I don't know. But regardless, for the most part, the Berkey does a really good job. So I like to make sure that he's getting Berkey water. Now, of course, he's like, well, I just go buy bottled water. No, why waste his money? We're trying to get him back on his feet. There's no reason to waste his money. When we got water, we just have to schedule all this. So Carolyn is in there right now, filling up a blue Rubbermaid water container. You see those Gatorade containers they splash on everybody at the game? Same thing, except it's Rubbermaid and it's blue. So she fills that up for him and then takes it over there. It's not a lot of work. It's just a matter of us having to stay in the house until that gets filled up. We might figure out a new process, something a little bit easier that wouldn't be so complicated. But it's also using the filters more. And those filters, as some of you will attest to, are kind of expensive, but these filters are 3 years old, so they're starting to slow down. So I cleaned them, and you flush them out and you try to get them to run as fast as you can so she doesn't have to stay in the house all day waiting for that thing to fill up. I think it's 3 or 4 gallons that she's got to do. There's a little bit more to do now that he's here, and he is not fully aware of how to live off-grid and make life easy for him. That's not to say he is not trying very hard. He is trying extremely hard. When I start the well up, he's out there with his buckets. He's filling his buckets. The other day, Carolyn was out there doing laundry in her laundry tubs. He comes out with his laundry and he starts doing his laundry. I mean, that's pretty good. You figure in his previous life, his other half was probably doing laundry for him. I know Carolyn does my laundry, so if she was gone for some reason, then all of a sudden I'd be doing my laundry and taking on an extra chore. So he is trying to adapt. But on the other hand, I'm trying to think, I don't want to make him uncomfortable. I don't want him to be rushed out of here because he doesn't like it here. I want him to get back on his feet. And as a result, if I can make him comfortable, not miserable, not cold in the nighttime because there's not enough heat, not boiling hot during the daytime because there's no air conditioning, try to make him as normal as possible so he can focus on getting things done that he needs to get done so he can get back on his feet, get an apartment, repair his relationship, or find someone else new, or whatever it is he wants to do. We're not pressuring him. But on the other hand, we can't just expect him to sit in that camper and do nothing all day. Now, he's got a phone, so he can get YouTube videos and whatever you can do on a phone. I know I play a game. I got a game I play every morning for about an hour and a half. So I can understand the boredom. Carolyn and I watch Netflix in the evening or Amazon Prime videos, but we watch it on a phone. And the other day he was watching some movie and I thought, I wanted to watch it. Avatar, that's what it was. He's watching Avatar. And I thought, man, I'd like to watch that, so maybe we'll get it too. But so, I mean, he's trying to keep himself entertained. But obviously, he would like to have more electric than what we are providing him. He has an Xbox and he likes to play the Xbox. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, he doesn't need an Xbox. He needs to focus on what he's doing. And I agree. He needs to focus on what he's doing, get back to his regular life. But if he's miserable, he's going to rush out of here and be in worse shape than if he was just comfortable here. So we're trying to figure out how we can get an Xbox. So right now, we don't have enough batteries to give him to run it. He showed me the Xbox. It's 100 volts. I've never seen anything with 100 volts. And it was 1.8 amps. So that's 180 watts an hour that it would use. So I figured up a 12 volt battery at 50 amps, because you buy a 100 amp battery from Walmart, you can only use 50 amps of it. You got to charge them up when they get down to 50%. I don't know why they advertise them at 100 amps when realistically you only have 50 usable amps. I figured it up, and one battery would let him play the Xbox for 3.3 hours. But you need a TV. Let's just say that's another 200 watts, because that's roughly what this is. 200 watts. Another 200 watts is 400 watts, so he'd need at least 2 batteries just to play 3 hours. I don't know how long you can play an Xbox for, but it just doesn't seem to me that's a reasonable amount of time to play a game if you're wanting to play a game. I don't know. But he's still going to need the air conditioner. So we went over there and I tried to explain modified sine wave, pure sine wave, and obviously it went right over his head. There's no reason for him to have understood any of it. I did the best I could to explain it. I don't think a lot of my subscribers understand it. There are some that like to brag they do, but I've seen off-grid people who live off-grid and have YouTube channels that don't understand it. I know 2 right off the top of my head right now that couldn't tell you how it works at all. So we have people who live off-grid that don't know how to work it. Why should we expect Carolyn's son to know how to work it? So we're trying to figure out the most inexpensive way for him to play an Xbox. I know he doesn't need to be playing an Xbox. He needs to be getting his life in order. And as I said, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't want him to be miserable at the same time. Sitting in that camper at nighttime, being bored out of your mind is not a happy life. Why does he have to be unhappy the whole time he's trying to recover from something very sad? So no, I'm not going to do that to him. Yes, he can go to the library, and I already said they're thinking about going. What we decided is we have that old generator, the one I just repaired the carburetor on. I replaced it actually. It had a little step motor on it, and apparently that step motor went bad. I replaced the spark plug, so I've retired it. So I thought. We talked about it, and I think the best thing for him to do right now, just so it's not so complicated, is when he wants to play the game and run the TV, to get that generator, put some gas in it, and that would give him about 11 hours runtime if the generator is running at 25%. It'd be real close with that game and a TV. So let's just call it 10 hours on a gallon of gas, and it's continuous energy. That also will run the air conditioner. So if he wants to turn on the air conditioner, we're not sure if it would run the air conditioner that's attached to the camper, the one that came with it, or we'll have to give him the air conditioner out of the truck camper that we put in there 2 years ago. May have to take that one out and put it into the actual camper. Of course, we'd have to remove windows and all that stuff, so he could have air conditioner during the daytime. Well, he could have air conditioning at nighttime too, but the more he runs it, the more energy he's going to take. And then when he's done with all that stuff, he can just unplug the generator, shut it off, and plug it back into the inverter to charge his phones and that kind of stuff while he's at work. I think this is the best solution. I ask Carolyn every day, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Do you have everything you want? Because if she doesn't, I want to make sure I get it for her. One of the things people think I'm so abusive about is I don't have a wash machine for Carolyn. And the only reason I don't have a wash machine for Carolyn is because Carolyn doesn't want a wash machine. If she wanted a wash machine, I would have it here yesterday. So I'm not here to make people's lives uncomfortable. I don't want to live off grid being uncomfortable. I am very comfortable. I like starting the wood stove, for example, when it's 68 degrees in the house. And I like for the wood stove to start to cool off when the house is about 80, 82 degrees. It gives us a nice fluctuation, and I'm comfortable. But somebody said, no, I don't know why you're wasting all that firewood. You need to wait until it gets down to 50 degrees. No, because I wouldn't be comfortable. It would be miserable. And I didn't come out here to be miserable. I came out here to be independent, get away from the utility companies, and get away from people. So there's no reason to expect him to be uncomfortable or Carolyn to be uncomfortable. So if you click this up next box and take you to that video where I was talking about the dirty water, so if I can inspire you to be comfortable when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.